Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. All right, we have an update about the Duggars. So yesterday I did a video and I said, the Duggars were supposed to be at this family conference and they're not listed on the program. And earlier in the week they had unfollowed the Bates, which had led me to believe something was going on. Now I'm still not convinced that something's not going on because they spoke on Wednesday afternoon twice. Actually, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And what they talked about is interesting. Now, I'm going to do only a video about what they talked about Wednesday afternoon, and these videos come courtesy of one of my subscribers who happened to find the unlisted YouTube videos, that's right, unlisted, through the media company that put on the show, which is the Institute of Basic Life Principles. Embassy Media is the organization that put these out, and the videos were listed on their website unlisted through YouTube, and each video had the different speakers for the events. Now, I had showed you the program, and on the program there was nothing listed, like at all, for the Duggars to be there, which had me thinking, what the heck? Because they had been promoting Jim Bob Duggar as speaking, not Michelle, Jim Bob. Well, on Wednesday, in the morning and in the afternoon, both the Duggars spoke. Now, the morning talk was about service, basically politics, and then the second one was about family. Now, in the video about family, this is interesting because Derick Dillard has been saying a lot of stuff about the family. He's been saying a lot of things about Jim Bob Duggar. He has been saying a lot of things about, Jill and how, he wasn't protecting the kids and how he didn't protect his daughters and how he's greedy and how the kids aren't paid. And a lot of the sort of intricacies and dysfunction that is in this family and how if you're not filming, you're not a part of the family. There's been a long rift that's been going on. Jill has been sort of disconnecting from her family. She has made big gains, like allegedly drinking some adult beverages, photographing herself in a bathing suit, getting her nose pierced, wearing pants. She's breaking free, let's just say. Now, in the afternoon, Michelle talked about a book that is from the 1860s. Now, she said it's from 1880. I actually looked it up on Google, and it was written by Mary Clark, or was compiled by Mary Clark, of a variety of different people that have written things about, keeping together the house, being a good wife, being a good husband, how to raise children. And one of the chapters in this book is called The Family Church, basically making a church within your family and how to raise godly children. Now, she referenced a list that was in this book and went item by item by item of the list. But interestingly, around number 14, she mentioned something about not allowing meddlers or talebearers to interfere in your lives.
Number 14, beware of meddlers and talebearers. We memorize the definition of the word gossip, sharing private information with those who are not a part of the problem or part of the solution. And then slander is telling the truth with a design to hurt.
Okay, so she said meddlers and talebearers, and she then paused and then went talking about and said, she said, memorize the definition of gossip. Don't talk to people about private issues that are not part of the problem or part of the solution, and don't slander people. And she said slander is to tell the truth about someone in order to hurt them. Now, when you look up the definition of slander on Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it says the utterance of false charges or misrepresentations which defame and damage another's reputation, a false and defamatory oral statement about a person. So Michelle says that slander is a truthful statement that's used to hurt someone, but it's not. Slander is a false statement used to hurt someone. And the other interesting thing is on this list, which it says the family as a church, it appears on page 111 of this book. Number 14 says, beware of meddlers and talebearers. It has nothing else listed. It doesn't say anything about gossip. It does not say anything about slander. In fact, the one before it says, learn to deny yourself and to prefer others, which she read verbatim. And then she said, for 6:15, it was never charge a bad motive if a good one is conceivable, which she read verbatim. She did not read this one verbatim and went off script and looked directly at the camera and looked directly at the audience, as though to say, don't tell private information to public people in order to hurt others. Like, my opinion in this was that this was, because it was the time she actually went off script, it was a very poignant moment of her almost directly talking to whoever it is, whether it's Derick, whether it's Jill, whether it's Amy, whether it's somebody that's using information to hurt them. Now, the interesting thing is she says truthful information to hurt someone. So is she then alleging that what Derick Dillard has said about her is truthful? Because slander is false, but she says slander is truth. So if Derick is going to meddlers or talebearers, as she said, and she's almost implying like this is him speaking to the tabloids, right? So if he's speaking to the tabloids about this and gossip, right? She said, memorize what gossip means, because gossip magazines. And then she's saying, like, don't use the truth to hurt someone. So don't speak the truth, Derick, to hurt someone. That doesn't even make sense. Speaking the truth should never hurt someone. It's simply speaking the truth. And just because your truth doesn't match your appearance, and it doesn't match the public appearance, and it doesn't match your public image of being the perfect parents, that doesn't mean it's done to hurt you. It's literally sharing the truth, their truth, right? Now, I might be reading into this too much, but literally it was the only time in that entire thing that she went off. I will actually show you the entire clip just to give you an indication.
Number 11, do not neglect little things if they can affect the comfort of others in the smallest degree. Number 12, avoid moods and fits of sulkiness. Number 13, learn to deny yourself and to prefer others. Number 14, beware of meddlers and talebearers. We memorize the definition of the word gossip, sharing private information with those who are not a part of the problem or part of the solution. And then slander is telling the truth with a design to hurt. Number 15, never charge a bad motive if a good one is conceivable. Number 16, be gentle but firm with children. Number 17, do not allow your children to be away from home at night without knowing where they are. Number 18, do not allow them to go where they please on the Sabbath. Number 19, do not furnish them much spending money.
So as you can see, she literally, I did almost all of them except for the last one, and I did 11 through, I don't even know, 19. You can see she stayed completely on script. She didn't waver. She literally read from the list. I put the list up there so you could verify. And the last one, did you hear that last one? Do not furnish them with much spending money. So this actually I found was an interesting one, because one of the allegations that Derick has made about Jim Bob is that he's cheap and he doesn't pay the kids. So are they following a book literally written and compiled in 1857, literally almost 200 years ago, following directions from 200 years ago? And not all of this advice is bad. I mean, this isn't bad suggestions by any means, but literally do not furnish your children with spending money. Like, did they take this specific step from her and be like, yeah, don't give them spending money even to becoming an adult? I don't know. Now, in the same breath of all of this, they also talked about conflict. Now, at one point, Jim Bob addressed his anger, and he said that there have been times in his life in which he has put up walls because of anger. So his actions in anger have caused his children to put up walls between the relationship between him and the child. Listen to this.
And I just encourage each one of you parents to really consider your own response to your kids. And I know there's many times that I've gotten angry or upset and had to apologize. And just know that we can take our children to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. We can come to these conferences. But if dad is blowing up with anger, we will build a wall between us and our kids. And we may build a wall between them and God, because their view most of the time of God is the same view they have of their Father. And so make your home, make a commitment to make your home a haven, somewhere where it's...
So he talked about how there had been times in his life that his anger had gotten in the way and he had blown up and had to apologize. And he said, you can take your children to church. And he kind of choked up. I mean, honestly, it sounded to me like he was choking up. And he said, but if you are doing these things at home, it can put up a wall between you and your children. And one of the things that they've talked about Derick has talked about a lot is that he has been an angry parent. He has been, volatile, or he has described the home as, he has described Jim as having a temper. Even Jim has described himself as having a temper. He has described growing up for Jill in an abusive home. So it makes you wonder, is he literally admitting that the reason why there's these issues with his kids is because he did not act correctly? And so he acted out in anger. He was an angry person and he created a division. And now it almost seems as though he's saying that because of his anger, it's put a wall between his kids and God. And that because they aren't following his God, that somehow he's responsible for that. Now, Jill is still very much a believer. She just doesn't ascribe to this very conservative IBLP mantra. So it's interesting here that Michelle says, don't slander, don't tell the truth, don't. And then he says, I'm angry because I'm angry and blew up. I've created walls with my children and it's driven them away from God. Basically admitting that because of what he did, Jill, in a way, has moved away. Am I right? Now, at the last part of this, they talked about conflict. And I want you to listen to how she describes resolving conflict and what she uses in the home to resolve conflict.
Point about conflict. Conflict is part of life, and we'll face that as we walk this earth. And in Matthew 18, God clearly lays out a plan for when there is a conflict. You go to that person, and this is where tattletaling and arguing and bickering can be squelched if we just take those proper steps of going to that one and telling them, my brother, I have aught against you. You've offended me in this way. And you do that one-on-one. If you have aught against your brother, go to him and tell him his fault between you and him alone. And if he'll hear you, then you've gained your brother. But if he'll not hear you, then you go and get one and take them with you. And at that point, that would be where dad or mom would come in and talk. Or in a situation where you have conflicts in relationships outside of your home and family, you could do that one-on-one and then ask an older, I always say go to gray-headed people that have really stood through life's tests and trials and come through them refined. I mean, really refined and still hanging in there. Go to them and seek counsel from, godly older people, and then maybe take one of them with you to try to resolve the offense and the conflict.
So she's referencing a passage from the book of Matthew. And in this passage, it's actually from Matthew verse 15. It says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, then tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen to even to the church, let them be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. So the full, it's verses 15 through, it's Matthew book verses 15 through 17. So basically, talk to somebody, go to them to talk about it. If they won't listen to you, go get somebody else to talk about it. If those people don't help, then go to the church. If that doesn't work, then write them off. So it then goes on to explain how they do it in their home. And she says if these steps are taken, this type of conflict can be resolved. Now, my question is have they done all of these things? Because I'm assuming they've tried to speak about all of this privately and it just came to an impasse. So is that now why they have been written off as Gentiles or tax collectors? Because they can't resolve the conflict, because Derick has sinned against them, or Jill or whoever it is has sinned against them and is now not worthy to them, as bad as a tax collector, as bad as a Gentile, someone who's not a good person. So you write them off if you can't meet up with the conflict, which sounds wild if you think about it. Like, we all can't get along and we're just going to write you off. Now, she doesn't say that, and she also didn't include that part of the verse, which obviously is cherry picking, but I have the sense that they might have tried all of these steps and it didn't work. So what do you think? Did she speak to Derick? Are they talking to Derick? Are they talking to Derick and Jill? Are they admitting we created this? Is Jim admitting I created this through my anger? But now Miss Michelle is defending him by saying, don't slander us, don't tell the truth, don't gossip, don't go to these, talebearers, don't meddle. And then also saying, if you wanted to do these things, if you wanted to resolve this conflict, come to us. We'll resolve it. Talk to us. If that doesn't work, then bring some of your other siblings. If that doesn't work, let's go to the church and talk about it. And then if that doesn't work, we'll write you off. What do you think about this? To me, this entire thing, it's like 39 minutes. It's a lot, but it seems like they're talking directly to Derick and Jill. So what are your thoughts? Did Jim cause it? And is Shelly sticking up for Jim? And are they saying, shame on you, Derick, for slandering us with the truth? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.